The following program is being brought to you by the Farmhouse Cafe and Mind Body Spirit of Omaha.
Living in the millennium, souls be looking for a healing, and he's healing them, filling some of them with his spirit.
My name is Robin Hesselgesser, and this is Hesselgesser on Purpose. Tonight we're going to talk about how you look and how you feel and how that's related. So why is your appearance important? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if you look better, you feel better. And if you feel better, you do better. And if you do better, you are better. If you look like crap, you feel like crap, and that's what you attract, crap into your life. And we don't want that. You know, my grandmother was in a generation where she only brought out her best stuff when there were witnesses or holidays or special occasions. Let me let you in on a little secret. Your life is a special occasion. I don't want you to wait to be asked out or given permission. I don't want you to wait until you lose those 5 extra pounds to look and feel your best. Today is all we've got, and your life is special. So tonight we're actually going to visit with Kay. We're going to see her before she had a makeover and then after. So please come back, and we'll see you again in a minute on Purpose. Welcome back to Hesselgesser on Purpose. I'd like us to take a look at my first guest before shot. Her name is Kay Rowe, so let's take a look at what she looked like before her makeover.
Filling some of them with his spirit. The devil killing some of them softly, cause they ain't trying to hear it. But listen, here it's the last and wicked, terrible, perilous times. The mind fights that bind are signs that we're living in.
And here she is after. Kay, stand up. Let's take a look. Oh my God, you look beautiful.
You look gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you do a little pirouette, or, you know, it's nice.
I love the dress.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, you look gorgeous. I see many dates in your future, if you want them.
Hopefully with all the same guy.
Well,
exactly.
that's a good point. So this is Kay Rowe, and I'd also like to introduce our other guest. This is Tammy Gerges.
Hello.
Did I say that correct?
Yes, you did.
So Tammy is responsible with her team for doing the makeover and doing the makeup and hair and putting her in a new ensemble. So, you know, I chose this outfit for you because I think sometimes we have a tendency as women to think that we can't look beautiful and be comfortable at the same time. And you look beautiful. Are you comfortable? Mm-hmm. Does it feel good?
Oh,
Feels
yeah, it does.
And it's hot and humid, and so it allows you to, you know, you can sit like this if you want to. Nobody's gonna care. So Tammy, we didn't have much time.
No.
And she has a beautiful head of hair.
She has a lot of hair, yes.
If you had time, what would you suggest to Kay? What would you have done different?
I probably would have added a few highlights to her hair, just to brighten it up a little bit for her, just to break up the monotone color.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
But her ends are a little stressful, if you will.
Uh-huh.
And they just need to be brought up a little bit more. Not a lot. Not a lot. If you like to keep the length, that's fine. But they just need to be brought up a little bit more because they do tend to fuzz out at the ends. And that's just going to get worse if you let them stay, because when you get split ends on the ends, they'll work up the hair. So the sooner you cut them off, the less they'll travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you might hear a little bit of an accent from Tammy. She's actually from Canada. You're taking your test. You sent in your
Well,
paperwork.
I sent in my paperwork to become a United States citizen, so
yay.
test will be next.
Okay. Good. And she has found her purpose. She has realized that her dream in life and what she's supposed to be doing is to be a hairstylist. So she's on her way to do that. For the women listening at home, give us a quick. What do you see? What do you see the trend being right now, and how do you think a woman? You know, everybody's in a hurry and everybody's busy, and I think once again, you know, when you have a head of hair like this, it's hard to know how to manage it, what to do with it, what looks best. I mean, what do you suggest to people?
Well, right now, with it being the summer time, which is quite warm in this area.
And humid.
Yes, and humid. I recommend to ladies, do not go with a medium length. Either long enough to put it up so it's off your neck, or short enough that it's cut off your neck. Because if you have it at that medium length, you can't get it off your neck, and then you just get frustrated by it.
Yeah.
So, and right now, I'd say the less you use the hot tools, the better.
Okay.
Because you'll stay cooler that way.
Okay. Do you see women paying too much attention as far as, you know, I know that several years back there was this thing about if you were of a certain age, you needed to have you needed to think about coloring your hair differently. You needed to think about how it looked on your face. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that is true?
I think it's kind of gone to the wayside a little bit.
Okay.
At least that's what I see in the industry. I see women of all ages and all sizes with long hair, short hair, dark hair, light hair, you name it. I see the whole gamut. The only thing I recommend is if you want to cover the unpigmented hairs, cover them. Yes. If you don't want to cover them, let them all show.
You know, I'm so glad that we've moved past the whole, because I'm 50, and you know, years ago it was, oh, your hair had to be, you couldn't have long hair and be 50. And God bless Demi Moore, because I think she, you know, she was a great example of, hell no, I can have long hair if I want to, and, you know, make it work. And I will tell you that the couple of times that I've been in a puddle on my bathroom floor was when I had this great idea that I could sport short hair, and I just can't do it. It doesn't fit my personality. Actually, short hair for me is more work, it's more trouble, and it just doesn't suit me, and I just don't like it. So I am a believer that, you know, whatever makes you feel the best and whatever you feel like looks the best on you, go for it, sister.
I agree.
Good. Tammy, thanks so much. I think she looks beautiful. I hope that you go see her again and, you know, get a little trim, maybe a little color, a little highlight, maybe some caramel tones in there.
Caramel would look nice,
So we'll take a little break now, and when we come back, we'll visit more with Kay. Welcome back to Hesselgesser on Purpose. I'm delighted to introduce to you once again Kay Rowe. Kay, thank you so much for being here. My producer tells me that I hit all my guests, but I think I get a little bit excited.
That's okay.
So
you didn't hit me too hard, and besides, I have 2 arms.
Okay,
so,
great. So we can
no bruises.
Okay. Well, if need be, we can trade seats, and I can hit the other side.
That's okay.
So welcome. Thanks so
you.
much for being here. You look absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
You're a beautiful woman. One of the reasons that we wanted to do a makeover with you, because I know a little background about your story and your experience and how far you've come, and I think it's a really interesting and dynamic story that I think most people would think, well, that doesn't happen to, you know, we just hear about that stuff on the news. So give us a little background. You actually were a part of a cult.
Yeah.
And so how long were you in a cult?
37 years.
Just a snippet of time.
Yeah, just like basically my entire adult life.
Yeah.
From age 20 until just a couple of years ago.
So what happened to you on an emotional level? Why, you know, looking back, I mean, you haven't been out of it for very long, but looking back, why do you think that happened to you? What drew you in?
I was at a point in my life where I lacked self-confidence, I lacked trust in myself, and I really felt like I needed a strong base of friends and a group that I could belong to that would make me feel like I belonged and would give me, you know, confidence in myself. And that group offered that, you know, opportunity. I also had a drive as a child. I always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to make a difference in the world, and I always had this image of being like in the Peace Corps, you know, and doing things, traveling around the world and doing things that were going to actually help people. And that group seemed to fit that bill to me. I mean, if you don't mind, I'm not even going to bring up the name of the group just because I just, you know, I just feel like it's in poor taste to do so. But,
and it's in the past.
And it's in the past, exactly. The other thing that drew me was the people, because the people that are involved in it are like me. They're also looking for ways to make a difference in the world. They're also looking for the Peace Corps type group to be part of, right? So the thing that I see in hindsight now is that a few bad apples made the whole thing look bad when it actually had a very, very good, strong purpose. And it is composed of some very, very good people. But the situation that became very evident to me is the guys at the top were more interested in the money than they were in the people.
I see.
And,
so after that amount of time, because that's a long time.
Oh yeah.
At what point, or what was that tipping point that gave you that inner strength to say, this is not good for me? You know, I've got X amount of years left on the planet, and this is not how I want to live them. What happened? Was there an event? Was there some awakening in you? Tell us a little bit about that.
It was a buildup over many years, but what finally happened is I had surgeries that came up, basically 3 over a period of just a few years while I was there, and the first 2 were as a result of having been misdiagnosed or not diagnosed for 10 years. And in that time where I was,
were you allowed to go? You know, I think you at home can relate to me. I'm trying to picture this in my mind. Was it? I'm picturing a compound with people running around in robes. I mean, is that?
No, it wasn't really that strange. I mean, we dressed in normal clothes and everything.
Were you
but
allowed
it was very,
to leave? I mean, were you?
Not on your own. There was very, very tight security. If you had a medical situation, you generally went with another staff member who was your escort or whatever, to make sure you went to the right place and got handled and what have you.
Outside? Did you see your family? Were they allowed to visit? I mean, how did that work?
Yeah, you could see your family, but the hitch was, in order for you to see your family, you needed time off. In order to have time off, you needed to go through this whole procedure to get time off. And then, because we were paid an allowance, you know, we had a room and board covered, and we were given an allowance when they had the funds to pay us anything. You never had an opportunity to accumulate enough money to be able to go and visit your family.
So this allowance, were you to perform certain
Oh yeah,
things? Okay,
you all had, everybody had like certain tasks that they were assigned to, or a job, or whatever you want to call it.
Really? And how many of them were there, of you?
Well, reportedly there's about 10,000 staff members all over the world. In the area that I was located, the specific area, there were probably about 300 or 400, something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
So I would imagine that at some point, you know, everything being relative, at some point, I'm sure some of that became family. It became a way of life. It became normal. And anything outside of that was, I mean, you probably didn't even think about it. So just to back up for a bit, because I know I interrupted you.
Okay.
So you became ill. You needed surgery. You didn't get the appropriate care or treatment. And so.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, at that same time, I was also being roomed with other people that were in similar situations to mine. Some of them worse than mine, way worse. I mean, I had a friend who was in her 4th stage of cancer. And in just talking to her and us just being roommates temporarily, I observed that her family wasn't there visiting her, you know, and I had known her for some years, and I looked at that and I went, this is odd. How does somebody all of a sudden have 4th stage cancer? I think they call it a stage because it goes through 1, 2, 3 before it gets to 4. You know? Yeah. So I went, now I was thinking this to myself, I never said this to her, it just occurred to me, I went, they had her on the slow boat, just like they had me on it. You know, the cheap route to get medical attention. Go to the LA County Hospital where interns work on you. You know, stand in a waiting line to get serviced. Instead of going, this staff member has something urgent that needs to be attended to. I can only say from my own situation what would happen to me, and 2 separate surgeries, the situation with both things physically had gone on for 10 years before I got the proper medical attention. It wasn't that I didn't get any attention, it was just the actual correct diagnosis and the correct handling was delayed for 10 years.
So that experience gave you the boldness, as it were, to say, see ya.
Yeah, I finally went, you know, I'm not going to go the route of this friend I saw that was inevitably going to be dying probably in a matter of days.
How long has it been since you left?
I left staff 4 years ago, and then I completely and utterly resigned from the organization as even being a public, you know, contributing individual about 2 years ago.
So it hasn't been very long.
No, not at all.
Were there repercussions when you left?
Oh yeah. Particularly when I left the organization period and just cut all ties, I overnight lost hundreds of friends. Like I had a Facebook account with about 800 connections, and overnight it dropped down to like 100. And I probably only kept those 100 because they didn't know yet that I had resigned.
It's interesting sometimes when we make the choices that we need to make, we find out who our friends really are and who's going to be there to support us.
Exactly.
Whether it may be a simple decision of leaving a job or leaving a marriage or choosing the path that's right for you. It's amazing how sometimes we look around and we just don't have the support that we wish we had at the time that we need it the most.
Exactly. And
So
I lost job connections too. That was the other thing. That was major for me because I had to virtually start my life over again when I first, you know, left the organization as a staff member 4 years ago. I had to start everything over with $500 to my name, you know, because that's all that was given to me after serving for 35 years. So I started all over again, reconnected up with my family instantly. I mean, I had never not been connected to them. I just hadn't seen most of them for 30 years.
Wow.
You know?
I can't imagine.
So I made a point of using that $500 to get to Colorado and then to get to Michigan and to see my family, and they just greeted me back with open arms and were so happy to see me.
I bet they wept.
Oh yeah, it was just really incredible.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing better than I've ever done. I mean, I look at my life now and I'm healthier than I've been in years. I'm happy. I feel like I have all my burners going all at the same time. There's an entire list of things that I have as hobbies and things that I've missed out on the past 37 or so years, and I'm going after every single one of them with a vengeance. You know, so it's real interesting because here I am, I'm 58 years old now, and most people would look at it and go, well, how can somebody at that age, after they've been through all that, start their life over again and actually be happy and successful? I'm determined to be.
You've made a choice.
Oh yeah, and I decided that my past experiences are not going to break me. I'm using them as a contrast to the rest of my life, and it's like more of a launching pad for me, you know, to move up in the world and to actually achieve the things that I've wanted to achieve all along. But this time I'm going to do it my way.
Good for you. Do you feel like, and I certainly don't want to bring up any negativity if none exists, but I think whenever you go through something that traumatic, and that was a traumatic lifestyle, there are scars left behind. There are things that, demons, if you will, that you're probably aware of on occasion and have to work through. Is that not true?
Oh, totally.
So give me an example of that. I think that helps people at home. If somebody's working through something, sometimes it's, we all go around life and, how are you doing today? And the knee-jerk response is, I'm fine, because you really don't want to hear. And sometimes we are going through things, and sometimes we feel like, gosh, other people make it look so easy, and I'm really struggling. I'm in pain. I feel like I'm in a fetal position, and I don't want to get out of bed. You are an example of someone who got out of bed, and you're going for it with a vengeance. But I also want you to speak to the people that are laying there, and that it's okay to feel what they feel, but to move past it anyway. So, talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
No, I totally think that's a real good direction to go in with this. There's a couple things that come to mind immediately. One is that as a scar, it was embarrassing to me. Like, how do you explain to people that you haven't seen for years, or maybe people you're just meeting for the first time, that 37 years of your life were spent doing something that you thought was very noble, to only find out in the end that it was a fraud? How do you explain that to somebody? Because depending on who you're talking to, they could look at it and go, boy, that was really stupid. How could you be so blind that it took you that long to figure it out?
Question your judgment.
Right.
And judge you for it.
Exactly, and judge you for it, right? On the other hand, the kind of people that I tend to connect to are people that look at it and go, wow, what courage to be able to pull away from that. Because the thing I looked at is, the longer I take to get away from it, the harder it's going to be, because I'm going to get older and older and older, and it's going to get tougher, and I'm going to have more and more, considerations about, now I'm too old to do it, and it's going to stop me. And I went, nope, I got to break loose, and I got to do it right now. And I got to start all over again. And I had to convince myself, I'm not too old to do this. I can do it. I can make it. The other scar that it left, which is a pretty major one, is I have like an incredible amount of ability and talents and skills. Many of them before I ever joined the organization, but some of them, honestly, to this organization's, credit, a lot of it I gained from working there, right? I found myself wanting to steer away from anything that even came to any kind of resemblance to it. Like, I was a fundraiser for 16 years, right? And so the result of that was I didn't want to do sales. Yet, it's probably one of the best areas for me to work in, just because I like people. I'm very friendly. It's very easy for me to talk to strangers. And it's a given that that would be a thing that I would be very successful at. So I had to strip that scar away and go, okay, that's it. You know, in life you have to sell.
You do.
No matter what your position is.
That's such a good point, and we talk about that on the show all the time, because even if you aren't your standard typical salesperson, you are selling yourself, every day. And sometimes I think we find that we have to sell ourselves to ourselves,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you do that. I'm just I have to tell you, from the moment I met you, I'm inspired by you. Every time we have a conversation like this, I feel tears welling up, just because I'm so proud of you, and I'm so encouraged by your present and your future. And I know that you're going to do absolutely great things, and I champion them, and I so appreciate you being on the show this evening. I really do.
Well, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be on the show with you.
I know that we've reached out to lots of people, and yeah, again, you're welcome anytime. I want to have you come back, and we want to check back in on your progress and find out what you're doing.
Okay, thank you. I'd love to do that.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I just, I like to close every show with something for you to hang your hat on. And I think tonight I want to remind everybody that you may not have come out of a cult, but there may be something in your life that you're wanting to leave, something that you know isn't good for you. It's not your purpose, it's not your destiny, it's not your dream, it's not what you're supposed to be doing. So regardless of the support or lack thereof that you may or may not be getting in your life, I encourage you to remember Kay, and I encourage you to do whatever it is you have to do to get that inner strength and faith and go after your purpose and what you're meant to do. And don't let anyone else tell you that you aren't pretty enough, that you aren't smart enough, that you aren't talented enough, that you don't have the right resources, or that you're not from the right stock, or that you're not the right color or race or sex. Because whatever it is you have everything that you need. And sometimes all we really need is a little bit of faith and a lot of perseverance and some hope along the way. So I appreciate you being with us tonight, and I am reminding you to live your life on purpose.
The last and wicked, terrible, perilous times. The mind fights that bind are signs that we're living in the days when God said he's really getting tired of man's ways, and days are dropping off like minutes. Who repented? It's a race. Who wanna win it? I gotta win it, cause I repented.
Why do we join the Rotarians or a political party? Because of what they offer us. Friendship, connections, identity, or an opportunity to contribute. But acceptable social groups are different from dangerous cults like the Branch Davidians or the Taliban. A cult is a misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing. And over the last 10 years, cults have used tactics of coercive mind control to negatively impact an estimated 20 million victims in the last 10 years. Most cults start their induction by trying to stop both individualistic and critical thinking. Their job is to break you so they can remake you. Kay was lucky. She got out. So can you. Please reach out. There is someone to help you take that first step to get help. This program has been brought to you by the Farmhouse Cafe and Mind, Body, Spirit of Omaha.